We need to have an uncomfortable conversation about productivity. I want you to think about the last time you felt truly productive. You probably checked off numerous items on your to-do list. You cleared your inbox. You attended all your meetings. You put in the hours. You felt that satisfying exhaustion at the end of the day that whispers, "You've been productive." Now, I want you to ask yourself a more difficult question. What did you actually achieve? Did you move meaningfully closer to a major career goal? Did you develop a valuable new skill? Did you create something of significant value? Did you substantially increase your income? Or did you just stay busy? This is the great lie of modern productivity. We have conflated motion with progress. We've mistaken activity for achievement. We are like hamsters on a wheel, running faster and faster, proud of our speed, but never actually arriving anywhere new. This is the difference between being productive and being effective. And understanding this distinction is the single most important shift you can make in your career and your life. I've spent years researching productivity, not as an academic exercise, but as a personal necessity. I believed, as many do, that a productive life was the path to a happy and successful life. And there is some truth to that, but I discovered a more profound truth. Only effective productivity creates happiness, and success. Ineffective productivity, being busy but not strategic, creates burnout, frustration, and the haunting feeling that you're working hard but going nowhere. Let me make this distinction crystal clear. Productivity is about output. It's a measure of efficiency. How many tasks can you complete? How quickly can you clear your list? How many hours did you put in? It's a quantity game. Effectiveness, however, is about outcomes. It's a measure of impact. Did the work you do actually move the needle? Did it create the result you wanted? Did it bring you closer to your true goals? It's a quality game. You can be highly productive and completely ineffective. Imagine a person efficiently and diligently sharpening a pencil that doesn't need sharpening. They are productive. They are performing a task with skill and speed, but they are ineffective because the task itself is useless. It creates no value. Now, scale this metaphor to your own work. How much of your time is spent sharpening pencils that don't need sharpening? How much of your effort is poured into tasks that, if you were brutally honest with yourself, have zero impact on the things you say you care about? The practical consequence of this is staggering. You can work a 50, 60, or 70-hour week. You can be the first one in the office and the last to leave. You can answer emails at midnight. But if at the end of the month, the quarter, the year, you haven't experienced tangible growth, a promotion, a raise, a new skill, a meaningful business milestone, then you have not been effective. You have simply been busy. This is a painful realization. I know it was for me. I look back on periods of my life where I was working myself to exhaustion, proud of my dedication, only to see that my bank account, my skills, and my career progression had remained stubbornly stagnant. I was productive, but I was ineffective, and ineffectiveness over time is a recipe for resentment and regret. So, the million-dollar question is, where do you begin? How do you break free from the cult of business and start cultivating genuine effectiveness? The answer comes from a source that might surprise you. It's not from a Silicon Valley guru or a viral TikTok trend. It comes from Peter Drucker, a man born in 1909, who is widely regarded as the father of modern management. Drucker was the first to seriously articulate the concept of the knowledge worker, and more importantly, the effective executive. He understood decades before the digital age would amplify the problem 1,000-fold that for knowledge workers, time is the ultimate limiting resource, and that effectiveness is not an innate talent, but a disciplined practice. The good news is that this practice is simple. Not easy, but simple. It consists of 3 profound steps. This is the exercise I now teach, and that has transformed my relationship with work. This is how you perform what I call a time autopsy. A step when know thy time, the brutal audit, the foundation of effectiveness is a ruthless understanding of reality. And the reality we must confront is where our time actually goes. Not where we think it goes, not where we wish it went, but where it is actually spent. I constantly talk to people who tell me, I just don't have enough time, or I don't know where my day goes. My first question to them is always the same: do know thy time. If you don't measure your time, you cannot manage it. It's that simple. You cannot improve what you do not measure. And here is the critical, humbling truth: your memory is a terrible, unreliable accountant when it comes to your time. Let's do a quick test. Can you tell me with any real precision what you were doing last Tuesday between 200 p.m. and 300 p.m.? What about the Thursday before that at 10:30 a.m.? Most people's minds go blank. We have a general, fuzzy narrative of our week. I was working on the project. I was in meetings. I was answering emails. But this narrative is a fiction, a highlight reel edited by our brain to make sense of the chaos. It conveniently forgets the 20 minutes spent scrolling mindlessly after reading a difficult email, the 45-minute meeting that could have been an email, the hour lost down a research rabbit hole that was only tangentially related to the task at hand. To become effective, you must murder this fiction. You must replace it with data. The tool for this is an activity log. This is not a complicated app or a color-coded planner. It is the simplest technology imaginable, a pen and a notepad. Keep it open on your desk. Set a silent timer to go off every hour. When it chimes, you take 30 seconds to write down the time and what you actually did in the past hour. Not what you planned to do, what you did. The key is visibility and consistency. The notebook must be physically in your line of sight or you will forget. You must do this for a meaningful period, at least 2 weeks. A full month is ideal. Why so long? Because you need to capture the patterns. You need to see not just one unproductive day, but the recurring time wasters that have become the invisible architecture of your work life. This act of recording is in itself a transformative practice. It introduces a moment of accountability into every hour. Knowing that you will have to record your activity creates a subtle but powerful pressure to make that activity something worth recording. Step 20. Identify the non-productive work, the gold question. After you have 2 to 4 weeks of raw, unflinching data, the real magic begins. This is where you move from observation to insight. You will now perform the useless work audit on your own life. Take your activity log, go through it line by line, especially focusing on the tasks that recur daily or weekly. For each of these activities, you will ask the most important question in the entire framework. I call it the gold question, because answering it honestly will reveal the hidden pockets of wasted time that are costing you your potential. The question is this: what would happen if I simply stopped doing this activity? Now you must force yourself to answer with ruthless honesty. If the answer is, all hell would break loose, my most important client would leave, my boss would fire me, or a critical project would fail, then you have identified an essential high-impact activity. This is work that matters. Highlighted, this is what you must protect and optimize. But if the answer is, nothing would happen, no one would notice, or it would be mildly inconvenient but ultimately inconsequential, then you have struck gold. You have identified a pure time waster, an activity with a zero or near zero return on your time investment. These time wasters are the silent killers of effectiveness. They are often things like attending a recurring meeting that has no clear agenda or outcome, manually compiling a report that no one reads, spending 30 minutes perfecting the formatting of an internal document, scrolling industry news sites under the guise of staying informed long after you've seen the important headlines, engaging in lengthy, speculative discussions that lead to no decisions or actions. The gold question cuts through all our justifications and busy work. It forces us to evaluate our work not by how it feels, but by what it accomplishes. Step 3, to eliminate the time wasters. The strategic cut, this is the action step. This is where you reclaim your time. Once you have your list of time wasters from step 2, your job is to systematically eliminate them. Boom, that's it, as the original text says. But I want to add a layer of strategic nuance. Elimination doesn't always mean just stopping cold turkey. Sometimes it requires finesse. For a useless meeting, can you delegate attendance to a junior team member? Or simply stop attending and see if anyone complains? For a redundant report, can you automate it? Or propose to your boss that it be discontinued? For your own perfectionism on low-impact tasks, can you impose a strict time limit? The goal is to create what I call white space. Blocks of time that are freed from the obligation of useless work. This white space is not meant to be immediately filled with new tasks. This is the sacred ground where your most important high-leverage work will finally get the focus it deserves. This is where you will do the thinking, the creating, and the strategizing that actually moves your life forward. A common objection is, but I have to do this. It's part of my job. The gold question is your tool to test that assumption. If stopping the activity truly causes a problem, you'll know quickly. But you will be shocked at how much of what you consider mandatory is, in fact, optional ritual. You don't need to keep this log forever. That would be itself a form of useless work. The power is in the periodic audit. Do this for 2-3 week stretches per year, perhaps once in January to set the tone for the year, and once in July as a mid-year correction. This is enough to stay vigilant and prevent new time wasters from taking root. The profound secondary benefit of this entire process is that it fundamentally changes your relationship with your time. It forces you into a state of continuous consciousness about how you spend your most precious resource. You begin to see time-wasting behaviors as they start, not months later when they've become entrenched habits. You start every recurring task with the silent question, does this actually need to be done? Be brutally, compassionately honest. The goal is not to judge your past self, but to liberate your future self. The moment you write down, spent 45 minutes browsing articles, you bring that behavior out of the shadows. You make it real. And what is real can be changed. This is the path to true effectiveness. It is not a path of doing more. It is a path of doing less, but better. It is the path of stopping before you start and asking, will this matter? It is the courage to eliminate the trivial to make room for the extraordinary. Stop being productive. Start being effective. The difference isn't just semantic. It's the difference between a life of business and a life of impact.